Welcome to FS-ISAC's podcast, FinCyber Today. I'm Elizabeth Heathfield. In today's evolving cybersecurity landscape, building a scalable and repeatable model for success is critical. I recently sat down with Temasek CISO Cheri Lim to discuss how they've accomplished this over the last 50 years and her portfolio-based approach to cybersecurity. So Temasek has a 50-year history of building a scalable and repeatable model of success. Talk about your role in enabling that.
Yeah, and first of all, Elizabeth, thank you for having me on your podcast. In fact, I think one of the key area we realized early in the stage was really the fact that cybersecurity is a strategic risk for all companies. And that to us, in having a sound cyber resilience capability across not just Temasek and the portfolio is ultimately very important. And therefore, there was also this thinking as we digitalize, we need to invest in cybersecurity resilience, which in today's environment, if you look at it, a company not playing focus on cyber resilience, it's actually not in the trend towards growing, because cyber resilience now is almost a part and parcel of a business license to operate. It plays a critical role in a sense in enabling business. It enables that business value in terms of your business continuity, your sustainability. And if you have a secure digitalization effort, be it in terms of your end user or your clients, there is the confidence and the trust that you build, knowing full well that the data that they share with you or the data that you have is secure, knowing full well that even in a downtime, your business can continue. And then when we go into this specific aspect, we almost look at ourselves as like a cyber stewardship. One of the early vision that we have was really looking at Temasek being able to kind of drive some of these collective resilience together with a portfolio and the ecosystem. Cyber is a team sport, and therefore we believe that we have to come together to kind of build that mindset across the organizations that we have a stake in.
So tell me, how do you assemble your cybersecurity program as a portfolio?
Temasek, we look at ourselves as a network organization. So taking cybersecurity is not a single company or enterprise level effort. Not only do we want to ensure that as an organization, we are secure and we are resilient, it has to translate into that network mindset where we talk about this ideal or concept of a collective resilience. When we come together as a network organization, as an ecosystem, this is where we drive that cyber resilience on a broader perspective. And if our portfolio companies do not invest in cyber, it actually weakens their position to succeed. Because as I shared earlier, we believe that cyber is a strategic risk, and it's a topic that we take to the boardroom. And their leadership have to recognize that you need to invest in cyber, you need to put in effort in building that resilience, because it meant that your reputation in the event of a breach is important and your business continuity must be there. And through building resilience, not just from a cyber perspective, over and above that, it contributes to the entire organizational resilience.
Obviously, as coming from an FS-ISAC point of view, that is music to my ears in terms of it being a collective effort. So how do you translate intelligence and information across your network? And also, how do you leverage, the latest in security tools to be able to do that as well?
I think going back to this idea of a network organization, we know we cannot operate alone. Our assets, our portfolio companies, and the ecosystem plays a very important part in building that overall resilience. So one of the key areas we look at in terms of our purpose is really working with some of our portfolio companies and even the ecosystem, the regulators, the key stakeholders, and the vendor space to kind of bring that together. So, for example, I think the first part of things you'll be looking at potentially information sharing that could cut across in terms of best practices. Certainly, there's a set of principles when we take in terms of the solution stack. From an architectural lens, we look at whether it's platform agnostic, how interoperable it is, and then we also ensure a certain level of efficacy by conducting proof of concept to test whether indeed is the solution doing what it's supposed to be doing. And then also looking at whether it fits our security requirements and needs. So there's a whole set of kind of established protocols that we look at when we evaluate tooling and solutioning. Beyond that, those are broad principles. I think why we spend so much effort in deciding what kind of value a tool or solution is to us, because when we make that move, it is an investment that we take, not just for us as a company, but at the same time, that same tool, which we believe is effective and addresses some of the security needs across the ecosystem, we will also establish certain level of partner program with the stakeholders and the vendors so that it could be offered across the ecosystem or portfolio, and they too can benefit. I think these are also areas that FS-ISAC has started having meaningful groups to look at some of these tooling, exchange challenges that we meet. Same thing, we do it with our portfolio companies, we do it with the ecosystem, and we have also built a very good bilateral partnership with some of the local government agencies as well.
The fact that you have cross-sector visibility can help you see issues in the supply chain earlier than maybe some others might see it. And obviously, supply chain risk is one of the biggest issues facing the financial sector. So I'd love to hear more from you on how you are able to leverage that visibility that you have and help protect the financial sector, both in Asia Pacific, but also more broadly, and be able to share out that information early, because you are getting some indicators of potential supply chain vulnerabilities and things like that, maybe even before others do in the sector.
Yeah. So you're absolutely right. I think we've seen the supply chain risk being increasingly affecting companies. It has to be multifold. I think our first part really is how do you onboard your vendors? If you rely on your vendors and trust them to do certain level, there's the contractual side of the house. That's also the part where you also need to do certain level of due diligence on whether do they meet a certain level of criteria from a security angle and from a contractual angle. And beyond that, I think onboarding of your vendor is a set of questionnaires to ensure that due diligence is done is one step. The second step now, we do need to rely on some level of solutioning, especially with how fast these threats are moving, to monitor some of the high-risk vendors that we may have. You need to set criteria about what constitute a vendor in the high-risk zone, and you need to put in place certain level of monitoring to kind of effectively safeguard yourself. And there must also be an established process for the vendor to declare to you if they are suffering a breach that may affect you, and there must be certain level of SLA being set. Beyond that, I think there are also cyber companies that are looking into building capabilities that illuminate the supply chain risk that a company has. And this is also where we believe in investing in some of these catalytic solutions to safeguard against supply chain risk. And in terms of the supply chain risk, I think one clear areas that we definitely need to have is the ability to understand who are your third-party, fourth-party, fifth-party vendor. Beyond that, what is the SBOM sort of interconnectivity? So, for example, if you have a vendor that relies on this specific component and that component is now being affected, you will be able to kind of trace back to see whether are you potentially being breached as well. And that, in terms of illumination of the supply chain risk, will be something that is highly valuable and required in terms of safeguarding our risk, and that will definitely help if you can bring such a technical capability into our security solutioning for our monitoring.
So you mentioned AI and that you're investing in some of that now. It occurs to me that the whole SBOM traceability question, it was like around a lot 2 years ago, and then it kind of, at least from my perspective, it sort of went away. And now, potentially, you could be using agents to be monitoring and tracking SBOMs in a way that is scalable, right? Because people were talking about, well, they change all the time and everybody's always updating software all the time. So how can you keep an SBOM current? now maybe that is possible. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on, how you guys are leveraging AI and thinking about AI in the next, 6 to 12 months in terms of, your cyber tooling.
So I think AI will change the game. To be honest, companies to companies, everyone is adopting AI to different level. I think for first, there are a lot of excitement about bringing AI to enhance productivity. But I personally think that as a security professional, I think what's most important before the deployment of AI is to ensure you have a fantastic or well-established AI governance framework. Which meant that with every AI or every model, in this case, Gen AI models or LLM that you deploy, there is a level of security taken in that deployment to ensure it's secure and to ensure that as it continues to function and use the data in your environment for the productivity purpose, etc., it's safeguarded against any of these hallucination, things like that. And there's also a certain level of testing in the model to ensure that they continue to perform the way they should be performing without any of those drifts that may incur certain breaches or certain safety or security considerations that will affect a company. So for that, it's foundational that every company should be looking at establishing the AI governance framework before even going into how you want to leverage the AI capability for cyber, for your productivity, etc. Beyond the AI governance framework, there ought also to be a committee that looks at, for example, responsible use of AI, right? What are the use cases that you can use such that it aligns with your ethical considerations, your safety parameters, and your security? And that certainly is not a question or a problem that the cyber folks can address. It is you require several stakeholders in the company to look at that. And then when we are done with these, then we can start looking at how AI can transform the way we do cyber. I'm very excited about this because it is an area of interest. But with agentic AI, these complex models or even SML, SLS, small language model, I believe there are new capabilities that we can definitely tap on in terms of the agentic side of house. This will include things like perhaps automated triage in terms of all the alerts from a security monitoring lens. It could also be automated investigation and even response, helping the analysts. So your analysts don't have to comb through so much data. And the other aspect of things is that if each of these agentic AI could communicate with each other, because each agent potentially will perform a specific task, right? But as they perform a specific task, I know the industry is moving towards a MCP protocol for communication. And if one agentic AI could potentially communicate with another agent on another platform using the same protocol, that would then open up things for us to have even greater efficacy and efficiency in driving some of the cyber work. To be honest, we are playing catch up. The adversarial AI space from an attacker's viewpoint has evolved so much and so fast that I don't think a white hat from a AI agent perspective, we are fast enough. So for all the providers who are looking at deploying agentic AI to your client, I think this is a shout out to them that when they develop this model, they must have security in mind as part of the development of these AI agents for cyber. It could potentially translate into an independent third-party trust and safety report about the AI models that are using in this agent and how they continuously build that robust process to ensure secure AI agents in your space to drive the cyber workloads. And that, I think, has to happen.
What else do you think, looking forward, what do you see as the portfolio of, with AI, with quantum, like what do you see as the portfolio of technologies that CISOs and security teams need to be thinking about right now and making sure that they're able to, putting the governance and frameworks in place to be able to adapt to, given how fast everything's moving?
Yeah. right now, I think the focus must be on AI and how you secure it. I think one of the key challenge in securing AI is that one part of it is really how the model evolves. It is a black box to us if it's provided as a SaaS, if it's provided by the service provider as a package, and that would be something that vendors or or solutions provider, if they want to make a difference, they should and ought to actually be transparent about the trust and safety indicator or report of these AI and what are the robust process they do to build them and continuously ensure they behave the way they should be. While companies who intend to invest in AI, be it for productivity, for your cyber tools, etc., I think a key aspect of securing these AIs in terms of their identities. The identities in terms of the AI agents, for example, the identities in terms of a machine identity versus a human identity, because at the end of the day, you will be authorizing your agentic AI agents to actually perform certain tasks. But of course, there's always a human in the loop for some of these more sensitive workloads. But what's important is if your identity is able to kind of pick up, this is an AI agent doing this, and its assessed rights is this. And I think it goes back to the fundamental concept of how you build a security for the company. That's multi-layered, and a lot of it depends on the access control and goes back to the identity that's tech. And if we can do that from a AI identity perspective, it's a good start to helping you with the monitoring and whatnot. And you could also then do certain level of user and system behavioral analytics to kind of use AI to check AI on whether the identity, in this case, a machine identity is doing what it should be sanctioned to do or is actually doing something else. So some level of monitoring will happen, but the human in the loop will always be required. Just that in what aspect and how do you behave more intelligently beyond what these agents are able to do. Yeah.
Anything else that you wanted to cover? I think we've had a great conversation, but I'd love to hear if there's any other points that you wanted to make.
The topic of our AI, it is exciting times, and I'm really looking forward to leveraging some of these capabilities. It's going to be transformational, but we have to do it in a safe and secure manner.